Harrison Ford, you reveal in your book, after 40 years, is that right?
40 years I thought I'd wait.
Okay, so you reveal that you were having...
He's played the most fearless heroes in cinema history. But at 83 years old, Harrison Ford just admitted something he's never said out loud before, and it has nothing to do with Star Wars, Indiana Jones, or Hollywood. It's about his marriage. And what he says will completely change how you see him. After 6 decades of silence on his private life, Ford is finally opening up, and what he confesses may be the most honest thing any Hollywood legend has ever said about love. So, what is the truth? Harrison Ford has been hiding all these years. Asterisk, this is the story CelebScope has been tracking, because behind the legend, there's always a man asterisk. The legend nobody fully knows asterisk. Most people know Harrison. Ford as Han Solo, as Indiana Jones, as the man who outran boulders and outshot stormtroopers, but ask Ford about his real life, and he goes quiet for decades. He kept his private world locked tighter than the Ark of the Covenant, and for good reason. Because the real story of Harrison Ford isn't just a Hollywood success story. It's a story of failure, rebuilding, and hard-won wisdom to marriages, to worlds lost before the fame. Ford was just a struggling actor doing carpentry jobs to pay his rent. In 1964, he married Mary Mar. They raised 2 sons together, Benjamin and Willard. Asterisk, but Hollywood fame doesn't arrive quietly. It explodes. And when Star Wars hits in 1977, everything changes overnight. The marriage doesn't survive it. By 1979, Ford and Marquardt are divorced. Then comes Melissa Matheson, a screenwriter, an intellectual woman who reportedly understands the creative world he lives in. They marry in 1983. Ford calls it, reportedly, one of the best chapters of his life. But by 2004, that chapter is also over. 2 marriages, 2 families, 2 endings. And Ford, now in his 60s, is alone again the night. Everything changed. The story of what comes next begins on one specific evening in January 2002. The Golden Globe Awards. The cameras. The crowd, and across a room full of celebrities, Harrison Ford spots Calista Flockhart. Flockhart is best known at this point for her role as Ally Mc. She is 22 years younger than Ford, by Hollywood standards. That gap raises eyebrows by their own standards, reportedly. It barely registers. Ford later describes meeting her as something immediate, something undeniable. He takes her hand that night, according to reports, and doesn't let go building something quiet. What follows is 8 years of something rare in Hollywood, a genuinely private relationship. No tabloid wars, no dramatic public MELTDOWNS. Just a people, slowly, carefully, choosing each other. Ford helps raise Callista's adopted son. Liam steps into a father role without hesitation. Friends reportedly described the relationship as grounded, warm, real. In 2010, they finally marry quietly, without fanfare, in Santa Fe. New Mexico, no Hollywood spectacle. No red carpet proposal. Just a man, a woman. And a decision that pressure nobody talks about. But don't mistake the quiet for easy. Ford faces the kind of scrutiny that follows a 22-year age. Gap everywhere he goes. Critics ask, is this real? Will it last? What could they possibly have in common? And through it all, Ford says almost nothing publicly. He doesn't defend the relationship. He doesn't perform it for cameras. He just lives it. Reportedly, friends close to the couple say Ford is more settled in this marriage than at any point in his career. More present, or at peace. But the question remains, what does Harrison Ford actually believe about marriage? After everything he's been through, what is the truth he's been holding back? The confession-building asterisk now, in his 80s, Ford begins to speak slowly, carefully. In interviews that don't sound like PR, they sound like a man who has genuinely been thinking. He talks about friendship. He talks about laughter. He talks about what it means to actually show up for someone when the cameras aren't rolling. He says, reportedly, that the hardest part of any relationship isn't the arguments, it's the ordinary days. The days when nothing dramatic is happening and you still choose to be present. That's the test. Ford implies, not the grand gestures, the quiet moments. Reveal, and then comes the confession. At 83, Harrison Ford finally says what 2 divorces and a long, complicated journey have taught him. He says, paraphrasing, that a successful marriage has nothing to do with romance. Nothing to do with passion burning bright. It is, he says, about commitment, about trust, about patience that doesn't run dry. And most of all, it is about choosing the other person. Not just once, not just on the wedding day, every single day. Especially the hard ones. Especially when you don't feel like it. Ford reportedly describes his marriage to Calista as the first relationship in his life where he truly understood what that choice means. Not because the love came easily, but because they both decided it was worth the work, he admits. And this is the part that stops people cold, that he wasn't always good at it, that his earlier marriages suffered from his own inability to be truly present. To separate Harrison Ford, the movie star, from Harrison Ford, the husband, that took decades to learn. And he learned it too late for the people who came before today. Harrison Ford and Calista Flockhart remain one of Hollywood's most quietly enduring couples. Proof that love built on friendship and commitment can outlast any age gap or public skepticism. Ford's confession isn't a tabloid headline. It's a lesson from a man who had to lose things to understand what actually matters. And at 83, he's not just Harrison Ford, the icon. He's Harrison Ford, the man who finally got it right, asterisk. So, what is the truth Harrison Ford finally confessed? It's this. Love isn't a feeling you fall into. It's a decision you make. Every morning, even when it's hard. If that hit differently than you expected from a Hollywood legend, drop your thoughts in the comments because this story deserves more than just a like. And if you believe that the most powerful stories aren't always on screen, you already know why CelebScope exists. Asterisk, asterisk,